Good
All
on my
right,
end.
cool. Um, Welcome to the Inner Room with Adam Idea Mind. This is the space where walls fall away, where stories don't just get told, they land, messy, real, and alive. Here, writers open the door to what drives them, what haunts them, and what keeps them going. Every voice has its own rhythm, its own scars, its own sparks, and together we trace the threads that hold us, break us, and connect us all. I'm super excited today because, honestly, not a lot of guys show up to the space. So I'm
Mm,
one really excited to have a male co-host, and two, Dido, you're just amazing. So thank you for joining me today.
of course. Thank you for having me.
Always. If you're new to the space, like Dido is, I come up with 20 curated questions for my co-host. So these are going to be all about you, my friend. Are
Awesome.
you ready for them?
Hopefully I am.
All
We'll
right.
see.
Well, we always start off super, super easy. How did you find Substack and what made you decide to start writing here?
Yeah, good question. Uh, I would say specifically, it was it was kind of accidental for me. I would say it wasn't like a super intentional decision, at least at the start. But it became like a safe space for me eventually. But I would say it it was like after I came on the other side of my quarter life crisis, and I finally made my career change happen, and I was we can get into that a little bit later, but like it took me like 6 months to make a career change, and it was pretty stressful time of my life, and like I went down to like single digits in my bank account and everything. So like once I was able to get that done and out of the way, like I kind of just naturally gravitated to Substack because I just wanted to share my story with others, and like because I feel like a lot of people right now are struggling in terms of like building resilience and running into burnout and all of these other things and struggles that we go through daily. So I just wanted to share what I learned from that.
Well, I definitely think you've stumbled upon the right space to do that, my friend. I will welcome in
Yeah.
Erin Florence. Uh, Beautifully Broken says, hello, friends. Hello, friend. Lynn, thanks for joining. How do I say that? Amex Intel? Amex Intel? Hello? Claudia B. I don't know. If I say your name wrong, don't persecute me. Where is everyone from? That's a great question. I'm from New York. Dito, where are you from?
I'm from North Carolina.
Hmm. So in your opening sentence, you said so much that I was like, oh yeah, we will get into all of that. That's why we have a little bit of time kind of cut out specifically to kind of get to know you a little bit better, your story a little bit better, because I feel like these conversations are important, not just to talk about the work that we build here, but how we got here. And you referenced something like a quarter life crisis, and when that happened to me over 11 years ago, I thought I like created a thing. Like nobody was really talking about it. Like we do hear midlife
Mm,
crisis a lot, but we weren't hearing quarter life crisis, and I 100% had one. So I will enjoy asking you questions that will probably get you talking a little bit more about that quarter life crisis. But anybody in the chat, feel free to access any questions along the way. I appreciate you all being here. With that being said, what are you hoping to build or gain from being in this space?
mm, that's a good question. In terms of Substack specifically, I would say just a community of like-minded people. People that are all looking to do good in the world and improve themselves in some type of way, and kind of like reject like society's like prescriptive advice of like hustle culture and all these other things that keep us burned out in general. But then on the flip side of that, like when it comes to the monetization aspect, like it is also connected to my coaching program, which I recently started up, which is Torch's transformation coaching, and that's specifically where I help high achievers that are struggling with that specific aspect of not understanding like when to slow down, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I born and raised in the Bronx, New York. I don't think there was any other culture besides hustle. Like
Mm,
if you needed money, you found whatever you needed. You worked hard for it, and you were on the street doing it. And whether it was the bootleg teas or the fruit stands or the other bad things like all the drugs that circulate the area. People just hustle work because how else are we going to afford any other type of life, right? So it's very interesting to
uh,
connect with other people that are all about like, we've been doing this thing really wrong for a really long time, and a lot of us have been very complicit in the way that we've just allowed society to kind of normalize this type of culture where most people are burnt
Yeah.
to crispy bits. So you know, I think picking a coaching career is super admirable because things can get heavy, right? People, you're helping somebody learn along their journey, and you don't really know what their past or present might have stumble you might be stumbling apart. So it's a pretty admirable job. I appreciate what you do in your space. But what has surprised you most about the people you've met on Substack so far?
Mm, I would say specifically that people are finally willing to be vulnerable, like on a social media site, and that vulnerability of not being attacked, right? Because every other social media site, if you try to be vulnerable, it's just not going to work. Like it's going to turn into some toxicity, most
Mm.
likely. Specifically referring to X and Instagram, but
Although
um,
you do have to put a little specificity in there because
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I only share clips from these podcasts on like TikTok and Instagram,
Mm,
and what I've noticed is that the clips, whether they're usually vulnerable about some type of topic, it doesn't seem to do well because I don't think people really want to lean into that over there. So I mean, I
yeah.
might agree that we could probably add TikTok to the space of things. Um,
Yeah.
it's like it's performative culture, right? Because also like nowadays, everybody wants to be a YouTuber, everybody wants to be some type of influencer. We don't, none of us want to really go into a job and work, but then like you still somehow are conforming to something to do that somehow, right? Because these platforms require a lot of attention, and you're
Oh
paying
yeah.
attention to analytics, right? So this does really well right now, so this is what I should be focusing on, or whatever, if even if that might not be what your focus is. You
Yeah,
know,
that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I had something to say, but then my train of thought got completely.
I don't know. Performative culture sometimes
Yeah,
is giving me
yeah,
a little
yeah,
bit of an ick right now too, because it does seem like a lot of people are just doing the things
yeah. That
to get the
remind me.
likes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I think specifically because Substack is a writing platform first. I think that's the reason why it doesn't happen on Substack compared to other platforms, because writing it forces you to really get deep and like introspect, right? So the performance is less likely to happen. Doesn't mean that it's impossible to happen, obviously, but you know, you're more likely to catch yourself in the act of doing it, and it allows you to be more honest with yourself compared to quick videos like TikTok, or like these little, like,
Yeah, like
yeah,
threads or
yeah,
or X or
yeah.
alternate Twitter.
So
Like, yeah,
that's
it's
what I'm
just
saying. Yeah,
yeah. I
like,
mean, I get that. I do have like a slight like rebuttal about it, just because from my experience, Substack does have a better culture of open to vulnerabilities, and people willing to read and share what they've been through, their stories and stuff. But I do feel like a part of it is still, I don't want to say performative, but it's transactional. Like, I will read you if you read me. I'll comment you if you comment me. I'll like you if you
yeah,
like me. And it sometimes you get into these, or you'll see, I'm not getting into them, but you might see um these chains of humans that, well, yes, restack your work and share your work a lot, but you're like now a part of this bigger world that you have to now be very open to reading all of these other people, and it can sometimes can get overwhelming. Like, most people, I'm only one person, I can't read a whole bunch every day. I suffer from ADHD. It's hard for me to even write most days. So it's just like to have the expectation of another person, like, well, if I could do it because I'm on this thing 24/7, then you should be able to do it. So I think there's just a little bit different type of culture that I've seen. Not necessarily will I associate it negative. I just don't think that some people are aware of like this loop that they enter sometimes. Um
yeah, yeah. I mean, I will say every single social media has like pockets of those types of people. Maybe Substack has a smaller percent of them than other
really.
social media, Yeah, there's always going to be the transactional people that are like only doing like the sub for sub type of thing. You're going to see that. But I mean, in my experience, it's like there's going to be some weeks where I can't catch up on people's work. It's happened many times before because I got a lot of other things
Right.
going on. But you know, if somebody is like a true supporter of you, they'll continue to support you even if you can't support them in that moment, right? Because at the end of the day, like, I mean, it doesn't make sense for us to keep score like in a relationship, right? Like, I'm just saying, like, because we're all human, right? Like
Right.
we all, and you don't even know what's going on in that other person's life, right? To
Right.
make that happen or hold them up to that expectation. So that's the way that I view it. And I mean, I've I would say there are a lot of people here that do support like without expecting something in return. So and that's something I haven't really found in other places.
No, true. Definitely a higher quality community of humans that are more genuine than what some of the other platforms may provide. You do have a comment in the chat. I'm gonna call him O because I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but or her name right. Dido, what kind of people don't you wish to know? Why?
What did that mean? Like what?
I don't know. I mean, we've used. I'm assuming since you at least said quarter life, you've at least gotten through at least 25 years of your life, and there might be certain types of humans that you've encountered that realize maybe they're not part of the people that, in the grand scheme of life, I want to have in a circle. Um, I think that's what maybe they're asking. Just if there's any type of human that you wouldn't want to know.
I don't know. That's like a kind of a weird question. Not really sure how to answer that. I mean, I'm not. I don't judge anybody based off of anything, so I'm not gonna like reject somebody like preemptively, But I
Yeah,
mean, in terms
Alexa.
of
Oh, good.
my coaching program, I'm helping like high achievers specifically. But I mean, in terms of my Substack, it's like anybody that's really run into burnouts. I mean, that's just my niche, like what I talk about. But I mean, in terms of like just like following or subbing to each other, I don't really care. Like, I'm not gonna hold a
Right.
preference for that.
Well, Alexi says one can't choose people they don't want to know in social way, and I think that in time maybe you'll understand that, but it's a very interesting question. I don't have a response for it. There's a I like humans. Beth, Laura, thanks for joining. Karen, thanks for joining. Shalani, thanks for joining. Um,
Shalini,
that's how you say it,
yeah,
Shalini.
Shalini. Mhm.
Well, thank you for joining. We're just getting started. I think I've only gotten like three questions, so uh, we're gonna move into a little bit more gradually getting to know Dido a little bit better. Uh, if somebody read your publication for the first time today, what would you hope they walk away understanding about you?
Okay, so yeah, I write trials, tribulations, and torches, and like bi-weekly, I put out a different type of torch. So the torch is supposed to represent like the other side of the struggle, right? So the trials and tribulations lead to a torch once you come to the on the other side of that. So I mean, what I want them to walk away with is that hard times don't last forever, and that it's possible to get out of your situation, like if you persevere and keep going. That's what I would say.
I kind of love the way that you have formatted and the way that you utilize your kind of like your last name to kind of grow and thrive in this setting over here. Especially torches is a interesting like visual concept for me too, because it's just like something you carry through something. So I don't know. I think I just recently read one of your recent posts today, and I just think it's very unique in the way that you, one, collab with people, and then two, show this is what I thought or this is what it was at the time, but this is what now I just discovered from it. So I think it could be very helpful for people to, you know, get different perspectives about different situations in time. So I appreciate that you do that.
Thank you.
Your work centers are, of course, your work centers around burnout and transformation, as we've discussed. What drew you towards that particular conversation?
Yeah, so I would say specifically because my story is I was in a career that was burning me out. I was in engineering and I was working in the manufacturing field for about 3 years. And I kind of knew that it wasn't for me like 4 months in, but I decided to, to keep going. And that was for a lot of different reasons. One, like fear of judgment, right? Like I was like, oh, this is like what my parents wanted for me. Like it would be like a betrayal to them to like, back out of it. And then two, it was also because I was kind of just scared to take like any new path, right? Like because like once you've already gotten onto a path, now you have that safety, right, embedded into that path. But yeah, eventually I got to a point where I completely broke down, and I had to quit my job impulsively, back in late 2024. And I tried to like save myself by like going all in on a side business that I had at the time as well. That didn't work. So it was like that was like the start of my quarter life crisis. And I just didn't really understand like how to relate to myself when I didn't have like any external status or external like attachment to my name, right? So yeah, it was a pretty tough experience for me to like find a way to get out of that. So um, I don't know how deep you want me to go about this, but I would say
It's
like
your what's in your comfortability, whatever you're comfortable sharing. At the
yeah,
end of the day, I do believe, when somebody like yourself is providing a coaching service, you know, your clients may at the time not know much about you because your focus is on them. And I think this is a cool opportunity for them to have a little bit of an open door of why you're good at what you do. Because you've
yeah,
literally walked through it yourself, you know?
yeah. So I would say there was about a after my side business failed, there was about like 2 or 3 months where I wasn't really doing much other than applications. And the thing was like I was just applying to anything and everything because I was just in panic and survival mode, pretty much. But then I had this transformational experience when I walked in the rain, and I did write an article about this. I'm trying to remember which one it was. I think it was like towards number 6. It was one of my early articles, but I I basically walked in the rain for about 14 miles, and it was because like I just wanted to escape my apartment. Like I just couldn't be in my apartment anymore, because that's how bad it was. And that was like the first experience that I had with like pain itself. Like it kind of transformed my relationship with pain. Like because I couldn't turn back. Like I literally had to go to full 14 miles, right? Because I was on the trail, and all I could do was accept my pain, right? Like I couldn't run away from it at that
Right.
point. So I guess it was like a combination of the fact that it was like a spiritual experience, but also like it gave me the chance to finally reflect on everything and like let go of like that weight that was holding me down. Um, and that was like the first time where that was what really transformed my relationship with fear as well. I was like, like this is the unknown. I've never done something like that before, right? But that also transformed my relationship with other things in my life, which is when I started to self-reflect and decide I wanted to make a career change. So that's when I finally was able to like make a clear direction on where I wanted to go, and then I just made a plan to go towards that, and that's what I did for like the next 6 months to make that happen.
Hmm. Well, and now it inspires me to take long walks in the rain, if anything. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think I could be honest with, at least for myself, is, I hear often about people going through their own spiritual type of journey or some type of awakening, and I'm just like, I don't know. I kinda want one of those. Like, sometimes, I
Mm,
kinda need clarity in my own life. I kinda don't know what I'm doing sometimes, so it's just like I feel like I'm like begging for one of those things to happen. It's very interesting to hear when it happens for other people and the experiences. And I think I probably have hit a couple of them without acknowledging that that's maybe what they were. And I think in the future I'll look back in those moments and be like, oh yeah, that was the point where things changed for me. Um,
mm.
but you have another question by O. Was Substack the first real independent decision you made without expectation from others? Trying to understand your motivation deeper. Thank you.
Um, no, it was not. I mean, I would say I would say making the career change was the first independent decision, because that was when I decided, like, I'm not gonna let the fear stop me, or like the fear of judgment or the fear of the unknown stop me from like making that change. And that's exactly when I joined Substack, after I made the career change happen. So I guess it was like that was when I found like my confidence to be able to do something like that. But
I
yeah.
I guess a little bit of a personal piggyback question is, when you finally decided to do this, what was your parents' response?
It's an interesting question. I mean, at the start, it was bad, like, because it just doesn't seem like a good career patch, because I went into tech sales. But as I've been able to grow, I've been in it for about 8 months now. I've been able to do relatively well, and I think I've been able to improve a lot in a lot of different aspects, both personally and professionally. And that's because I feel like the reason why the improvement is happening is because like I'm living a life that I want to live now, compared to before, where I felt like I was just trapped and I wasn't really like doing what I wanted to do. Right.
Right. Right.
So yeah.
It makes me wonder, like, do you think, and this isn't just like to your parents, but do you think parents put their fear onto their kids? Like, do you think that because they don't know what you would do, or they don't understand how you're going to make money, like those are their own fears onto you, like that played a role into why you for a while stood in a career that wasn't making you happy, because you didn't want to disappoint, or you didn't want the judgment for them, or you didn't want, whatever their responses would be?
Well, yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, especially since like it also has to do with the sunk cost fallacy, because I mean, you spend 4 years in college, like, and spend lots of money to go into this career, right? So it's not like there isn't anything attached to that, right? Like there is something attached to that. So that's, I think that's the hardest thing to let go of, like the fact that I spent the money, and like it was like 4 years. But if it's not for you, it's not for you. I mean, you can't change what happened in the past, and you can't redirect your direction in the past, right? So
Right.
all you can really do is move forward. And like, to answer your question, I would say it's more of like a projection, right? Like your parents are going to project whatever their experience was onto you. So I mean, it's hard to like it's hard to detach from that, because you've been with them your whole life. So I don't really have like a clear cut answer for that, but it's a tough thing to do. I'll
No,
say that.
I get it. I mean, I don't think either one of us are parents, but Lynn is, and she said absolutely as a parent. And I'm just like, again, I'm not throwing shade on parents. I think this is a more of, as I continue to get older, I start realizing behaviors, and sometimes, and not to sound like an ass, but like I'm also a part of that problem, is that the adults make things worse. So like,
Mm,
as a kid, you look for guidance and understanding with things, and then when you have a parent, they may have their own fears, or their own traumas, or whatever the case may be. The way that they respond or react to something could actually cause further for their child. So it's just, it's an interesting thing to just be aware of now. And I'm always grateful to God that he didn't give me a child, because I definitely wouldn't have want to fuck anything up. uh, but Lynn says, but then step back and support. Yeah, I think that there has to be a balance. Like, as anybody that cares about anybody, whether parent or not, anybody that cares about anybody, I think it's just like, if you know that, if you're watching somebody like struggle because they're not happy in their career choice at this time, I think the worst thing to do is like put extra guilt on somebody. But instead of like, well, then what do you want to do? How can I support you with that? And I just think I would much rather see human beings lean more to, I don't understand what you're doing, but I'm going to support you because I love you anyway.
yeah,
you know?
yeah. I mean, I think the fear is like, oh, like this is going to cause you to become homeless. I think that's like the biggest fear, because I did almost go homeless, because I went down to very
No
low,
money.
very
Yeah.
low amounts of money. So
Yeah, no,
um,
I mean, and that's a real thing. I mean, I only speak of this because obviously I've been in this transitional kind of phase of losing a career and not wanting to like go back into a workforce because it did not feel aligned to my well-being. And then to try to communicate that to my parents, they're just like, they don't really understand. And it's not, and it's just like because for them they're in their 60s, this is what life has always been, people always have worked, we've always like needed money to get the things that we have. It's like this is life. And I'm like, but what if there's another way? Like what if there was a this was never supposed to be what life was in an acceptable aspect. So I make it a bigger conversation. I think both of my parents get lost in it and we just kind of move on with life. But I've been grateful to obviously have the support of my entire family during this time. But it is very difficult to be somebody that knows that you don't want to do something, but yet the expectation is that you do it because that's what we all do. We all have to work, Dido. We all need money. We all need to be able to survive and live in houses and feed ourselves. And the way that the framework is of our country and the world right now is that, well, you have to go do something.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
true.
it's been very interesting to have these conversations, definitely with my parents. So I can respect you sharing a bit about what your kind of situation was like. Do you think people usually know they're burning out while it's happening, or do they only recognize it in hindsight?
Um, I would say the majority of the time you're only going to recognize it in hindsight, and I think that's for a lot of different reasons. I think one is because like society kind of like perpetuates like this hustle culture, and you also get validated a lot for working hard, right? Like the more stuff that you do, the more valuable you become, right? The more valuable you become, the more validation you get, and it just makes you feel better, right? I mean, externally, but not internally, right? So it gets to a point where if you don't have a strong internal foundation, right, and then you eventually slow down, now you're not going to get that validation anymore. So like, but there's nothing internally to validate you. So
Right.
that's where the breakdown happens, because now what are you going to do, right? So the only thing you can do at that point is to rebuild a foundation, because you're just going to stay stuck in a limbo where it's either you do nothing and you feel bad about it and you punish yourself for it, or you go back to doing more work again, right? And then you hit burnout again, and then the cycle repeats, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's interesting listening to you talk about it because it's just like I I think that's why I did so much and I gave so much to PetSmart because like I was like, well, I know everything. Like I've been every position in this building. I know everything. Like I'm a valuable asset. I didn't think it was like a way to protect, but I did feel like probably it validated me in a way at that time, like that version of me, 100%. But Beth says that she personally recognized it at the time and after the fact felt validated for walking out. And I feel like I wish I would have recognized it. I knew that there was
Yeah,
something going on with me because I didn't have the same drive and want to show up and work the way that I once did there. But I don't know if I necessarily thought I was burnt out because of it. I thought maybe there was things going on maybe in my outside life that was compounding, the way that I kind of showed up in my work preference. But kudos to anybody
yeah,
who knows it going when it's happening. There's been moments after that I
yeah,
feel like I've been able to recognize, all right, I probably need a break.
yeah. And I will say like one thing to add on to that is I think what makes it worse is that people don't know how to really talk about it like openly, right? So, and especially for the people that are like known for being like capable and are known for being helpful people, right? Those are the ones that everybody else comes to, right?
Right.
So then when they're the ones who need help, like it's very hard for them to find somebody to, give them help or give them support, right? So they feel like they need to bottle it up. They can't talk about it, right? So
I just want
I
you to
think
know
the
that
best
I feel personally called out by you right now. I think I've moved through my entire life being the dependable one for friends, family, and coworkers and anybody, and people constantly felt comfortable enough to share, even fucking strangers. Like I like
Mm,
anybody and everybody who could walk up to me and just start telling me their whole life. And then when I started feeling like I needed somebody, I didn't really always have that person to kind of, and I, right now I don't really feel like I have that person that I can just openly like, well, this is fucking hard for me. Like, let me just like
yeah,
express like how difficult I'm having right now. I have been very lucky, as well as you, to meet amazing humans on this platform that definitely make me feel less alone in that. But
yeah.
for majority of my life, it's definitely like been that. So thanks for shouting that out. And anybody else who's ever felt that way, me and Dido understand. Completely. Completely.
And, a good way to sum it up.
Yeah, completely. When you look back now, was there a season of your life where you were trying really hard to convince yourself everything was fine?
I see them. Okay, yeah, I would say like the 2 years that I spent, or 2.5 years after I left my first engineering job, where I just stayed in manufacturing. I would say yeah, like that whole time I felt like I was pretty much on autopilot. Um, I kind of just didn't want to face the reality that I hated my life, so I would just like do whatever I could to just distract myself after work, and yeah, it was just kind of very, like I would say, like very gray, like period of my life where nothing much was going on. Like,
It
yeah,
reminds me of that of the Truman Show, right? That movie that I don't think a lot of people probably appreciated as much as maybe they should. But I think into 2026, if anybody has ever seen it or a glimpse of it or a portion of it, there's like this moment where Jim Carrey is constantly waking up and doing the same thing, and it's like Groundhog Day, and it's just like this is what we've been trained. Like we just wake up, we say hi to our neighbors, we go to work, we get the same coffee, we have the same conversations, we come home, we have the same dinner, and then we go to bed and we do it again, and like it's just over and over again, and it's like yeah, when your life starts feeling like that, I think that's when it's a good sign that you probably need some space. you know.
yeah, yeah.
But oh, we feel for you. They said I started in foster care. I get it. So
Mm.
thank you for sharing that with us. Apparently Beth also started in an orphanage at 4. You guys should link up. This is why I like this though,
The
because when
community.
But it is. It's a great one because I mean I can't offer any input because I did not experience that in my life, and I hate when people who haven't experienced things try to talk to people about what they should do when they've never been in that situation. So I do
Yeah,
feel like when there's commonalities, that's how us as humans can actually help each other do that. What was younger Dido chasing that current Dido no longer cares as much about?
um, um, I would say specifically external validation. Like I'm not really chasing that anymore. I would say I replaced that with like purpose and impact and mission, I would say. And that's specifically why I started my coaching practice, because my previous side business, I was like selling a physical product, that me and my engineering friends created, but like that really did not fulfill me, like because it felt very like surface level, like not very purpose driven, right?
Mm.
So now doing the coaching this time around, it feels like something that is grounding me in a purpose, which is the reason why it feels a lot more sustainable and not something that's just I'm just gonna burn out doing like I used to, right? So yeah, I would say that specifically, and then same thing with why I moved to tech sales, because I'm a people person and I like to serve people, right? So that's also the same reason why I moved there, and I just felt like engineering didn't really do that for me. So
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people hear the word engineering and probably would think you're crazy for not doing it if you did go to school for it because it is a great
yeah,
career that you can make tons of money in and blah 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 blah. But I also think of it
yeah,
as super complicated and uh not just like a fun job. Like it's a like
yeah,
it's a tough job and into just like that's why we respect the people that are doctors and work as police officers or firemen. These aren't easy jobs. Like so yeah, I mean kudos to you for getting more in alignment with what you feel most called to do here, within your time, because I do know a lot of people older than both of us that didn't ever get the opportunity to stop doing the hustle thing because that wasn't something that they felt that they could do, within their lifetime. So I feel like I had another. Oh, I was like, if I was to answer that question, I feel you on the like exterior validation. Like, I don't really care about being liked. I'm like to when you really think about things, it's just like not everybody likes everything. I
Yeah.
don't like everything. Why would I expect everyone to like me? Like, there's no longer that need for that at this time. But it definitely is a long road trying like to get there as a human. I think everybody goes through their own experiences that maybe hopefully um align them to the fact that like it's cool that people don't like you. It's actually that's actually cool because that means you're probably doing something right within yourself. Um, Growing up, what got rewarded in your world?
I mean, my parents expected like 110% from me, so that's where like the hard work and the hustle came from, pretty much. And I'm grateful for that because like I'm still using it to this day, but just in a sustainable way compared to before.
Right.
But yeah, I would say like I was always a high achiever. Like I mean, like my parents expected 90% minimum on a test, and like anything less is just not good, right? So yeah, so that's where the high standards came from. But yeah, I mean, like I said, a lot of good came from that, but also some bad came from that as well.
I mean, I don't think anything is ever just all good or ever just all bad. Like, I think some everything always has a mixture of both, especially based on people's perspectives of situations and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like my follow-up question after that was going to be like the same thing, so we'll skip that one. Was there a point where you realized those messages weren't actually leading? Hold on, that doesn't make sense because that was this one. Okay, what messages did you absorb early about success achievement and what it meant to be doing well? And then the follow-up would have been, was there a point where you realized those messages weren't actually leading you where you wanted to go?
Yeah, I would say that question applies like very well to me specifically because like I did have a stereotypical like success path, right? Like engineering with, a side business at the same time. Most people would consider that successful,
I mean, you
right?
also went to school, like you said, so you
Yeah,
put yourself through, extended school because not. I mean, I didn't do college. I did a semester of college, and then I was like, yeah, I like money better. So then I just started working.
yeah,
So I mean, that's in itself is an achievement, and then you got to this high level career, and then you had this side thing going. So yeah,
yeah,
you were doing what we would say is very well for yourself, sir.
yeah.
Well, it was
I mean,
probably killing you.
yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
would say specifically COVID kind of messed me up a little bit because COVID
Mm.
was in the middle of my university period, in my sophomore year. So yeah, like that. I honestly, I think things would have probably gone different if COVID never hit. I'm gonna be honest with you, because COVID changed a lot of things. Like it kind of like broke me down halfway, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And then I eventually broke down completely. But yeah, I think that's where it started, to be honest, because I was doing okay up until then. But yeah, something about COVID just changed a lot of things, for a lot of people, obviously. But
Was it because there was no like in person like class anymore, or was
yeah,
there?
that was definitely it. I mean, it was all remote, and like lectures were like 1.5 hours long. So we're like watch a 1.5 hour long lecture from your home is just mind numbing. Like, you know, and
I hope people don't feel that way when they watch these. No.
nah, definitely not. No, but I was like, I was just gonna say like I think also something that just pissed me off. This is like completely off topic, but I have to talk about it. But like it pissed me off that like a bunch of people were just like cheating on their exams like during COVID, and then like I was like one of the few that wasn't doing that, but then my grades tanked because of that. You know what I mean?
Oh, you know what? It's funny that you bring that up, my friend, because I recently wrote like a little cute little note that says rules only apply to the ones that follow them. And it's just like it is kind of interesting to watch how some humans will do something not that they're not supposed to, that there's literally like a law or a rule that says like, hey, we don't do this, and they still do it, but then if they don't get caught, it doesn't matter, right? So that
Yeah,
was kind of like the same
exactly.
situation. And then if you're the person who's just doing the good thing, and then it's just like, well, I don't get a reward for doing what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
That's how you create like people that are like, well, what is the point of being good? Right? Why should I follow the rules or the laws or anything if people just can do whatever the fuck they want?
Yeah. And
Side
I'm still,
rant.
yeah, I still respect my own past decision for doing that. Like, even though I suffered for it, but
No,
like,
you
I
have
mean,
integrity. That's
yeah,
important.
yeah,
You know? I think that currency goes a lot further in this world than money does sometimes. It's not it's a rarity. It's a scarcity. Not as many people have, high integrity in this world. So when you do come across somebody to me that's a special person. So but Beth says, "Oh wow," and Lynn is yawning because we can only imagine an hour and a half long lectures. I couldn't do that, so I
yeah.
understand. Kudos to you for getting through it, and you know,
Thanks.
and be able to now look back on it and be like, yeah, it was a really difficult point in my life, but it did lead me to eventually where I want to be anyway. So I mean, you gotta like sometimes you just gotta have the bad to get to the good.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You recently wrote about beliefs that expire. What's a belief you held for a long time that was difficult to let go of?
Mm, I would say waiting for certainty is probably the biggest one, 100%. Because I already explained, but I used to be hard worker, high achiever, and certainty was rewarded during school, right? So like preparing like a lot for a presentation, studying a lot for a test. That's all like ways that you can make sure that you get a good grade, like get a 95% or higher on a grade or on a test, right? But the real world doesn't really work like that. Like your effort doesn't really get rewarded as much, right? Because there's all types of other factors going on, whether it comes to politics or whether it comes to connections, or there's a whole long list. I'm not going to go down, right? But um, I quickly noticed that once I went into corporate, and I realized that I kind of just have to just go for stuff and stop caring about whether it's going to work out or not, right? So that's the reason why I decided to go for the career change. And then something that I didn't mention, but I'll mention it now because I think it's a good point to mention it. But there was there was about 45 days left before I had to pay my or before I was about to lose my money to pay my rent, right? So I needed a quick solution. This was like my fifth month, like of trying to make that career change happen, right? So I needed a solution to make it happen. So I literally had to come up with this creative thing where like I did like a 30-day cold calling challenge, and I like posted that on LinkedIn every single day in order to break into tech sales. And I did that on the 29th day, and that was how I was able to break in time in order, because my finances were like really messed up. But like that's just one example of like I just didn't wait for certainty. Like I had no idea whether the strategy was going to work or not, right? But I knew that I needed like some type of visibility, and I needed to do something above and beyond in order to make something happen, right? Because the job market, you know how bad the job market is right now. So
I mean, not anymore because I haven't tried to get a job in a while. But when I did lose my job, I took a month off, and then I did try to interview, and then I was like, yes, no, I'm not doing this. It is extremely difficult.
yeah,
So I mean, I think again that uh, resilience that probably came from the way that your parents raised you. Not to just not try something. I think that was a brilliant idea. I don't think I've ever heard anybody doing that. Plus, I'm not really good at. I've never got into LinkedIn, but I would assume that probably got somebody's attention eventually. So, and then I think that's like in a karmic way, the universe like was like, oh well, he showed up for himself. He tried something different, so let's reward him. Let's reward
yeah,
him. So I
yeah,
think that's a. Very, very interesting way of going about trying to get seen in a world where everybody's looking for visibility. Um, so kudos to you, my
Yeah.
friend.
Thank you.
Lynn says, I'm fascinated by this perspective on working. You're obviously working hard. And then said, both of you. And then, hey, Lefty. Um, wow, this conversation went a
Yeah.
lot faster than I would have. I feel like most of them do. I mean, they all go fast, but I'm just like, holy crap! It's we're getting down to the last 15 minutes. So I want to make sure that I hit some of my little bit tougher questions. Well, when I say tougher, it just means deeper. It just means like, hey, get a little deeper with us, Gito. Okay.
Okay.
Do you think transformation happens because people finally find themselves, or because they finally stop pretending to be someone they're not?
Um, I mean, those are very similar topics, right? I mean, but I mean, I guess to answer your question, I would say your the second option is what leads to the first option, if that makes sense. Like you have to stop pretending to be someone else in order to find yourself,
So
right?
they're each side of the same coin, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I would say so. And I would say like transformation is not about like becoming somebody else. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. That's what I truly think that it is. So, that version has always been there inside of you, but it's just been dormant because you decided to either suppress it or you just haven't had the right opportunity for it to come out and shine through, right? That's what I think personally. So there's a couple of things that you have to do in order to make that happen. Like first, you have to let go of the past, right? So similar to how I had to let go of like my engineering career and like, oh, I spent money on this and like I spent years on this. I had to let go of that because if you continue to let all of that weight hold you down, you just can't move forward. Like, and if you do move forward, you're just moving at a very, very slow pace because there's so much resistance blocking you, right? You just have to be okay with what happens, right? Even if you don't know what happens, right? You have to be okay with it. And you can only do that if you let go of the past and you don't have anything attached to the past, right? So I would say that specifically. And then, um, yeah, and then just changing your relationship with fear in order to start taking action. Yeah, I would say those two things specifically.
I mean, I feel like a lot of us don't really know what's going to happen, but yet a lot
Yeah.
of us still fear because of that. And I think that's like a control thing, right? I don't know. I definitely struggle with different versions of fear in my life, and it's definitely, I feel like it's definitely easier to say, yeah, I mean, I can let that go, and then
Yeah.
actually letting something go where it's not, disrupting your everyday life. Is definitely something that it takes time to learn within yourself, I think. So I kind of wonder, like, was there a way that you, like, how did you just was like, oh, this is in my past, this is just back there somewhere, like, how did you just kind of like move forward from that?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of had to do like a little bit of self-reflection and I had to like look at like what is going on exactly? Like, why am I so attached to that? So
Mm.
like if you understand why you're attached to it, then you can finally start letting it go. But it wasn't like everything happened in one day. Like I didn't just let it go in one day. Like it was a long process, probably like 4 or 5 months where I could finally let it go, right? But I mean, you have to let it go slowly and slowly. But then part of that is also being able to build a new identity for yourself too, right? So most likely it's not going to be a clear cut thing where like, oh, the past is completely let go of and you're going straight into your future, right? It's not going to be clear cut. So once I reflected on that, I realized that I'm only staying attached to this because this is what my parents wanted for me, right? And it's okay to let go of it, even if it disappoints my parents, right? Once I accepted that, that's when I finally was able to move forward. And then from there, you also have to take action though. Like you can't just stay in that like middle space, right? Because that middle space doesn't leave you with anything, right? It just leaves you completely empty. right? So you have to think about where do you want to go with your life, and you have to reflect on it. So I reflected and I realized, I really like doing door to door sales for my side business, and I want to be able to serve people in some type of capacity. So tech sales, I felt like was a great avenue to do that. That also provided, good career growth as well. I mean, because there's still a practical side to it too, right? So, and then after that, I just decided to do it and just like do it despite the fact that I was scared,
I mean that there's like a saying, a quote that says "Do it scared." Like that's you're supposed to do life scared. But I kind of like I'm a little. I feel like I would challenge a little bit. I wouldn't say there's nothing in the messy middle. I think myself and my previous co-hosts and other people on this platform actually have started talking a lot more about the messy middle because it's not. It hasn't really been dug up or discovered. People kind of just skip it. Like, yeah, I lost this identity of me, went to sleep, it's gone, it's dead, it's over. And this identity rose up, and this is the greatness that I've accomplished. And a lot of people skip the messy middle and the honesty of how hard those trials and tribulations actually are. And I think that there's a lot of value in being able to learn how to sit with yourself and understand your attachments to certain things, or your whys to what's motivating you to hold on to certain things. So, I challenge people to spend the necessary time in the messy middle, not trying to rush into their new identity, but really setting the boundaries and killing the selves that don't need to continue to walk with you anymore. Um, but Beautifully Broken said the build up to having the courage to let go took me a long time. And then Sarah said, that's okay. Emmett said, hey. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. Beautifully Broken, um, because I don't think it's something that's instantaneous. Like you come up with this, all right, I need to let this go. I have logical brain that told me why I need to let this go, and now it's gone. Karate chopped it.
yeah,
Doof. I don't think it works that way. Like it
yeah,
is like things are a part of our nervous systems, and there are attachment styles that are present and stuff that just sometimes make it a little bit harder. But I do think in time everybody kind of learns how to let what is not serving them leave them.
yeah. And I mean, I do agree with you with the messy middle. I guess I could have explained it a little bit better. I mean, I'm not saying that like it's impossible to stay in that space, but I am saying that like eventually you do want to build a better life for yourself, right? Like you don't want to stay in that space for too long because,
Yeah,
you
but I
know,
think everybody's time frame is different. So I don't know,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
who's. I don't want to. Again, my life and your life are always going to be parallel to one another. It seems that we've had very similar journeys, but our timelines are always going to be different. What might have taken you
yeah,
6 months might take me 3 years, and that's just the
yeah, that's
the
true.
thing about being a human. And it's not. And I'm not saying it negatively. I'm just like as I think just as humans, sometimes we get so stuck on a timeline, and it's like, oh well, we didn't complete this fast enough, and then that adds another layer of it, when it's just like, no, allow yourself to process the things, because I'm already here, I'm in it, I might as well deal with all my fucking shit at 36 already. Like if I've already left it taken me so long to get to this point, I might deal with everything that fucking comes up, and that might take me a lot longer than somebody who's only lived 25 years and is only dealing with one loss of identity. I've had like multiple losses of identity. So I just think it I don't know. I don't want anybody to feel like they have to have something done at a certain point. I'm not saying sit in your feelings forever and be miserable. I'm just saying allow yourself to live through those emotions and be honest with yourself on why that you even have them, and then make the right decisions to continue to move with the selves that you want to carry. I mean, every version of me got me here, and I appreciate every version of me because of that. But I 100% know that not all of them can walk with me in my next life,
Yeah,
and then that's grieving those deaths of those identities that had to survive to stay here. And that's, to me, those are the processes of the messy middle.
yeah, I agree with you on that. Yeah, I would say like if you're trying to self-inflict like some type of pressure to try to get it done faster, that's
It's
not
not
gonna.
gonna help. I mean, and the comparison thing, right? Like especially in any type of social media platform, you're gonna see growth in so many different aspects, and to sit there and you know try to compare yourself is hard. And this is because I'm taking it seriously. Water is important, Lynn. It's bigger than my head. But to close this out, I'll hit you with my very, very last question since we didn't get all of them. But at the end of your life, what do you hope people say your work gave them?
Wow.
Well, I said it was a gradual buildup, but I don't have,
Yeah.
I don't have time to build that up anymore. So it doesn't have to be at the
Yeah.
end of your life. It could be, just what do you hope people say your work gave them?
The the ability to believe in themselves when nobody else ever did. I would say that specifically, because those are the people that I want to help the most. Like the people that just didn't have somebody that believed in them because nobody really gave them a chance. You
Mm,
know.
I feel that. I mean, I think that's a beautiful reason to stay motivated to keep doing what you do. Honestly. Um,
Thank you.
Emmett says, I know for years, however, I was actively trying to be and do better. My mind was fractured in places, took time, but I did have to want it too. I see what both of you were saying. Well, thank you for being present during my little, rant sesh of situations. But where can people find your resources?
Right. So if you want to check out my Substack, Torches or Trials, Tribulations, and Torches, that's at didotorchi2.substack.com. And then if you want to check out my coaching program, where I help high achievers who are running into burnout and don't know how to find their way out, I help them specifically with redesigning a life that they don't have to escape from, and do that through my 3 coaching pillars, which is to let go of the past, to rewire your relationship with fear, and to take aligned action toward a better future. And you can find that at torchestransformationcoaching.com.
Awesome. Well, my friend, it's an exciting day for your family because what your brother has graduated. Graduations are always fun. I
Yeah,
appreciate you making the time to obviously be here with me today and with all of these amazing people. Emmett, thanks for that compliment because sometimes I don't know. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have said that. And then then I forget that I even said anything and then I move on with my life. So I appreciate everyone who
thanks, Lynn. Appreciate you.
yeah, I appreciate everybody who's been here. Obviously, Onyx is making a brief cameo before we sign off. But Dito, thank you so much for your time, for your wisdom, for your courage to share what you've been through, and then for just being in this space trying to help amazing humans. So, with that being said, you've been in the inner room where the conversations go deep, the connections surprise, and the truths linger long after the world quiets down. Until next time, keep listening inward because that's where the stories that shape us really live. I appreciate you all. I hope you have all a wonderful evening. Thank you again, Dito.
Awesome. Yep. Thanks for having me. It was a great conversation.
Have a great one, guys.
You have a
Bye.
good one. Bye.